Hello and welcome back after a break. Welcome back at the Spielberg Red Bull Ring circuit here in Austria for the round 3 of the ESET Cup series, but also round 2 actually of the brand new ACCR Czech Formula 4 Championship that, as mentioned, it's a round 2, so it's doing its second race weekend of the season. It was actually supposed to start with the round at Oschersleben in Germany earlier on as well with the rest of the championships, but the start of this new series was then delayed, and the first race only happened the last time out in Hungary at the Hungaroring. Even despite that, the season is going to contest 6 championship venues, 6 championship rounds. And we are now here for the second one at Red Bull Ring. From here on, we're going also to Slovakia, to Most, to Brno, so twice in the Czech Republic. And to keep the number of the championship rounds at 6, we are adding another one, as already mentioned the last time out. We are going back to Hungary, actually, to the Balaton Park, which was actually officially opened this week. So we are waiting for the first fresh races, on the fresh circuit, which currently holds the Grade 2 license. So pretty much everything but Formula 1 can be raced around the brand new track, and we really can't wait to get going there. But before then, there's quite a lot to do, and we are having the second round of the series ahead of us. Interestingly, the race seems to be called officially a wet race, which means wet tyres possible. Normally you aren't able to fit wet weather tyres if the race isn't called a wet race. So the race control officially did that to give every team and every driver that opportunity should the situation for the wet weather tyres arise. Currently it's dry in Austria, but if you look at the skies, when we can, it's already quite cloudy. Dark clouds are all around. I'm not really sure if it's gonna rain from any of them, but potentially it might. So that's why race control keeps everything open. And the drivers are now starting the formation lap here at this 4.3-kilometer racetrack with, and let's say 10 corners actually, depending really on what you call a corner, but officially it's 10 corners, 8 of them, well, sort of 7 of them right and 3 of them left, although the turn number 2 is just, and that's this one. It's a very, very, very sweeping, long, flat-out bend of the straight anyway. So it's not like you need to brake or actually choose a specific line into it. Either way, we started the championship a couple of weeks back in Hungary with only 6 cars on the grid, because it's a brand new championship that's still being affected by all the potential issues in the delivery chain everywhere in the world, and safety car deployed, which means that actually we have not started the formation lap. We started the race itself. There is no formation lap once the safety car start is called, and that is happening right now. That actually must mean that there is raining. Well, it is raining somewhere on the track. We do not see it yet, but the race will commence behind the safety car. The rain is the only reason I can currently think of. Otherwise, there must be some other sort of a problem, potentially technical issues with the starting procedure whatsoever. But I believe it's the weather that is causing the safety car start now. We only had 6 cars for the round number 1, and the opening round was dominated by Ethan Ischer, who scored both victories in both of the races and is now at the top of the standings with 50 points. Renaud Francot with 33 points to his name in second, from Nicholas Taylor with 27, Michael Sauter with 26 in fourth, Oliver Michel 5th with 22, and Jiří Šafránek, the Czech driver, 6th with 18 points to his name. But we do have 4 more drivers on the grid here, them being Miroslav Mikeš, also Matthias Bjerre Jakobsen, Nanda Woodberon Bagdi and James Agosi. We've got a couple of couple of new teams, mainly the still quite new to the world of motorsport, but already quite experienced and also quite high-profile team PHM Racing that has already cut its teeth with the official Formula 3 next to Formula 1, and also Formula 2, taking over the Garros Racing System squad in the process. Here, the team is arriving on its own as a brand new entry. And the dominant force, Ethan Ischer, has not been doing that well here in Austria, which means he's only sitting in 6th place on the grid, or was sitting. Now he's obviously on the track with everybody else. And it's the newcomer James Agozi, the young American, who scored his first qualifying victory yesterday and will start from pole. Well, let's say restart from pole as soon as the safety car turns its lights off and returns back to the pits. Alongside him on the front row was Michael Sauter, Nandavud Birombagde in 3rd. Alongside him, Renaud Frankot, row number 3, that's Matthias Bjerre Jacobsen and Ethan Ischer. Behind them, Nico Taylor and Jiří Šafránek, Miroslav Mikeš in 9th from Oliver Michel in B10. And we are about to have our safety car start now, as the safety car is now returning back to the pit lane, and we will get going here in Austria. So 10 cars on the grid for round number 2. We are still expecting the field to grow as the season progresses, but that will be then, but this is now. The yellow flags are off, and it's the race leader who's now dictating the tempo, and down the hill we go through the final couple of corners. The right-hander that takes everybody back to the start and finish line, across the line, down the straight, and it is James Agozi leading the race at the safety car start, immediately coming under pressure from Michael Sauter. They were only 0.2 of a second away from one another in qualifying, and it's Michael Sauter around the outside, immediately taking the lead of the race. Wonderful stuff going on there from the Swiss driver. So Michael Sauter gaining the lead, but now he's coming back under pressure from Agozi, who's trying to get back to the top of the standings. Overtake around the outside from him now, and he's back into the race lead. This is a little scrap between the Enzo Motorsport cars further down the field. So it is Agozi leading from Sauter, Birombagde in 3rd from Frankot, Jacobsen, Ischer, Taylor, Šafránek, Mikeš and Michel. Michael Sauter currently under pressure from the other PHM Racing's machine. That is Nandavud Birombagde having his go around the outside. Side by side they go, but Birombagde stays 3rd. Sauter defending from the PHM Racing's machine. The other one, of course, ahead of him, James Agozi. It's actually already lap number 3 now, as we come back to the start and finish straight, and to commence another lap. Second one under green flag conditions. Agozi missed the apex in time a little bit into the first corner. Michael Sauter trying to use the slipstream behind him up the hill. Of course, the Formula 4 cars not featuring a DRS. Agozi coming under pressure. The top 4 is now getting away from the rest of the pack. Jacobsen and Taylor running in 5th and 6th, sort of on their own. There is already a gap ahead of them and a gap behind them. And naturally, being at the first green condition lap, James Agozi, as the race leader, set the fastest lap of the race. But of course, that is still potentially going to change in the following rounds. The drivers in the top 4 still remaining in close succession. There they are. Biron Bagdi piling on the pressure on Sauter in the fight for P2. These are the high outer curves that are not really favoured by the Formula 4 machines, as their ground clearance is really very low. And that means that any skip across the higher curves can actually mean a floor damage and making us hit for the driver himself. So there's a fight towards the back end of the grid. That's Szafranek and Michal. Szafranek now back in 8th. They are still side by side into turn 3. Wonderful fight between them. And it was actually Michael Sauter who set the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap. Egozi in the race lead did 1:33.0. Sauter did 1:32.8. Only 4 thousandths of a second actually faster than Biron Bagdi behind him. Szafranek holding on to 8th. This is the brand new breed of Formula 4 cars made by Tatus. As you can see, it is up to the current motorsport safety standards. You can tell by the fact that those are the cars now that also feature the halo system, the head protection sort of tube frame up and above the driver's helmet. So this is the fight for the race lead. The Enzo Motorsport liveried car in P4 trying to get into the podium places, that of course being Renault Francot. He did score podiums in the previous round, but now he's outside the top 3 for the moment. And he will be trying to get in it. Biron Bagdi was looking good and looking all racy earlier on. As I mentioned, piling on pressure on Sauter, but now he is losing ground a tiny little bit, but so is Sauter. And in the meantime, it is Egozi who's now the new holder of the fastest lap, 1:32.5. So that's the new benchmark in the race. Actually, if we look at the qualifying results, James Egozi did 1:31.5. He was 2 tenths faster than Sauter to score his first pole position, so 31.5. The benchmark from yesterday, we are still a full second per lap slower than that, but of course cars carrying higher fuel loads to start with. 32.574 for Biron Bagdi as he now sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's now attacking Sauter. It's a fight for P2. Sauter trying to stay on the outside. They are now running side by side next to each other on the top end straight, or the hilltop straight, let's say. Coming into the Rauchkurve. Biron Bagdi now taking second off the hands of Sauter, which now means that the new entries team, BHM Racing, is running first and second on the road. Egozi sliding through the left-hander, so is Biron Bagdi. And Sauter right on his tail now. Still trying to remain close, but he did make a little wider exit out of the second left-hander. Francot having a look down the inside. as we've just now reached the halfway mark of the race. Frankot looking racy and finding a little more pace than Sauter. This is shaping up to be a pretty exciting race so far. Sauter missing the apex of time a little bit into the first corner. Look what kind of advantage that immediately gives to Renault Frankot. He's having to choose the outside line because Sauter is going defensive on the run up to the third corner. Under braking we go. Sauter now hipping the apex just right. However, as he was entering the corner from the inside line, he didn't manage to get back on throttle early enough, and Renault Frankot managed a nice switchback. So Renault Frankot up into third. He did leave Sauter enough room on the exit of the corner. Otherwise, these two would have risked the contact. That didn't happen. Frankot is up to third. Will now be trying to get back in touch with Biron-Bagde. In the meantime, James Agosi has opened enough of a gap over his opposition, and he did set another fastest lap of the race in 1:32.5. He's chopped a couple of more hundredths of a second of the benchmark that was set so far, or had been set so far. And another one, 1:32.441. So the first lap under 1:32.5. Just as Biron-Bagde did a personal best of his own in 1:32.508. Sauter slipstreaming behind Frankot, and we have the second Jensen Motorsport machine getting back in the frame. That is Matthias Bjerre-Jacobsen. Look at that. Frankot coming under pressure from Sauter, leaving him enough room on the outside. That may have been a mistake, and they are now running side by side. Still the inside line for Frankot, but looks like Sauter is managing to now be fractionally ahead. Yeah, but this braking zone is definitely favouring the inside line, and Frankot remains third, which means that Sauter will now come under pressure from Bjerre-Jacobsen. Michael Sauter in the clinch between the two Jensen Motorsport cars, just as the BHM Racing's machines are still running first and second, and running away with it. Yet more good sectors for Agosi and Biron-Bagde. Agosi did set an absolute best in the first sector. Biron-Bagde, personal record. And across the line we go to make it yet another fastest lap for James Agosi, as he drops it to 1:32.394 this time, so under 1:32.4. And Frankot is now getting away from Sauter. Sauter, having start on the front row, is dropping down the order. There's a fight. So Bjerre-Jacobsen, just as he set the fastest overall first sector time, he makes a successful pass on Michael Sauter and relegates the Swiss driver down to fifth. Agosi already enjoying a 2.5 second gap to his teammate Biron-Bagde. Further down the field, we have got Ethan Ishard, who's already trailing the race leader by over 11 seconds. And given the fact that it was Ethan Ishard who was so successful in Hungary, it's a bit surprising to see now, because he dominated both races and didn't really give a chance to anybody else in Hungary. Scored victories in both of the rounds there. But now he's running in the loading 6. He is well ahead of the drivers behind, as he has got 3.5 second gap to Nico Taylor, but he's really long way away behind the top 5 now. And in the remaining places we have got Izzy Šafránek, Oliver Michel and Miroslav Mikeš in 8th, 9th and 10th. 7 minutes left on the clock. Still quite a lot to worry about, quite a lot to fight for. It is Michael Sauter trying to gain back some places in the remainder of the race. So Sauter now getting back in action. Round the outside he goes into the final 2 corners. This is not a space where you normally overtake, but they are still running side by side. Beautiful scrap for 4th. Pierre Jacobsen forcing Sauter wide, but he did give him enough room on the track, so no penalty should apply there. They are still running side by side. Wonderful stuff from Sauter. He now runs across the sausage curb. That robs him of a little bit of speed, and that means that Pierre Jacobsen can stay together with him. Side by side they go up the hill into turn 3. Pierre Jacobsen crucially holds the inside line, but Sauter somehow manages to stay next to him once again. They have now done 5 corners next to one another, and if they just keep at it for 5 more, they will complete a full lap next to one another. Okay, now it's done. Michael Sauter moves to the inside line and crucially ahead of Pierre Jacobsen. Wonderful fight between the 2 for P4. Into the left hand as they go, with 5 minutes remaining. Look how on the edge the Formula 4 cars are. They do not give you that much grip, they do not give you that much downforce, so you basically just slide around all the time. But if you look further up the motorsport, mainly the single-seater ladder, you'll see the same thing in Formula 3. Those are as well, but cars that still do not have enough downforce, and they still sort of slide around more mechanically. In Formula 2, that's already a little bit of a different story, and those are the cars that somehow suddenly go like trains on rails. And then you've got Formula 1, which is actually incredible in its cornering speeds. Black and white flag for car number, what was it? 48. The race leader, James Agosi. He has set another fastest lap in 1:32.1, and he's now getting nearer and nearer to that 1:32 mark, but in the process, probably he is actually reaching the track limits. Now the same applies to car number 27, that's the championship leader, Ethan Isher, in 6th. So he has been given warning via a black and white flag. So 3.6 seconds now between Agosi and Biron Bhakti. Your race leader, James Agosi, already 4 seconds ahead of anybody else, and he's now dropped his pace He stopped, presumably stopped chasing fastest laps. That one still goes to his name. And he's trying to now be more careful about the white lines, as a penalty could effectively rob him of victory. Because it seems that the other drivers aren't able to do that, and will not be able to do that, because with 2 minutes left on the clock, we only have, I believe, 2 laps to go. We have to, yeah, I believe we have 2 laps still. Because the race leader is now getting back on the start and finish straight. There he goes. 1 minute 40. Yeah, he's now running across the line. This will still be 2 laps. And James Agosi has already gone over 133, so he has dropped his pace. He's now trying to use the gap that he's got to simply bring it home and not to make any silly mistakes. He's been communicated the warning, apparently, and he reacted with dropping his pace, but still managing the whole situation pretty nicely. He entered this lap with 3.6 second gap, so he did lost a bit, well, about half a second, which he can actually afford at this stage of the race. We are on the penultimate lap, and more importantly, his teammate Nanda Bhirombhakdi, who we are watching right now, who's trying to chase him, he is having trouble of his own, as he is coming under quite a lot of pressure from Renaud Francot. So this is shaping up to be an interesting fight for second in the remainder of the race. As I already mentioned, we are about to have 1 more lap in this race. 20 seconds left on the clock. But where's the race leader? There they go now. This is for second and third. And we will come across the line with just a couple of seconds to spare. There we go, with 3 seconds left on the clock. We did start yet another lap, and this is now the final one. And of course, those 3 seconds, Agosi was not able to spare, because he is only 3.7 seconds ahead of the opposition. He would have been risking losing the first place, but I believe doing 1 more lap is actually no matter for him. So Michael Sauter in P4 set his personal best in 1:32.6. So still half a second shy of the current fastest lap, but that's not the most important thing in the world right now. This is, because this is an actual and active fight for second in this race, and it's Renaud Francot trying to trouble Nanda Bhirombhakdi. This is the final lap of the race. What is going to happen in this little scrap? We have already run out of the perfect overtaken opportunities, so only the, let's say, more opportunistic, optimistic and brave ones are now remaining. But it's still doable. We've seen cars run alongside each other through the last couple of corners in today's race. But we've already got the race leader through the penultimate corner. This is the scrap for second, but it is James Agosi who, having sat on pole and started from pole, scores his first victory of the season on his debut. And the BHM Racing is opening its attendance and opening its campaign in the Czech Formula 4 with a 1-2 finish. Wonderful stuff by the German team. So James Agosi is victorious, and the success of the team is underlined by Nanda Bhirombhakdi, who brings it home in second, making it a 1-2 for the BHM Racing. Renaud Francot is going to complete the podium scoring positions, and that means that that is yet another podium for him. is going to close his gap to the championship leader, Ethan Ischer, who in today's race only managed 6th, behind 4th placed Michael Sauter and 5th placed Matthias Bjerre Jacobsen. The remaining positions are Nico Taylor in P7, Jiří Šafránek in P8, Oliver Mikl in P9 and Miroslav Mikeš in P10. So that was the race number 1 of the Czech Formula 4 Championship. And as the day slowly comes to an end, we can only invite you for one more race today. And that, of course, being the endurance race of the ESET Cup Series mixed classes, 1 hour long race coming up next with a 29 strong field present, so that is going to be quite something, and then the rest of that is coming tomorrow. So that was it for the first Formula 4 race of the weekend, the second one coming tomorrow. And yeah, with us having to go and get ready for the endurance race, it is now a very warm goodbye, but we will be back in just a couple of minutes.